The Phantasmic Journey podcast is brought to you by Tascam and Amazon Studios. For more than 30 years, Tascam has developed products for every segment of the sound and music industry. From the high-end audio professional in a major post-production studio to the novice of hobbyist at home, Tascam is everywhere. They are a company committed to providing their customers audio and video solutions that enable breakthroughs by using sound in ways that are exciting as they are accessible, even recording the voices of the dead. You asked for a non-scripted paranormal TV show. You begged for a non-staged paranormal TV show. You begged and you pleaded, and we have listened. We present to you Season 1 of The Paranormal Journey into the Unknown. It was released October 31st, 2017. In this series, we show you what it's like behind the scenes and conducting a real paranormal investigation. Join Gavin Kelly, Colin Purcell, and their special guests to seek out the existence of life after death by going to numerous haunted locations such as jails, hospitals, battlefields, and museums, collecting compelling evidence by means of video, photography, and EVPs. In this season, the crew investigates the St. Albans Sanatorium, Old South Pittsburgh Hospital, Jailhouse Pizza, and the famed Monroe House. And you can watch Season 1 of The Paranormal Journey into the Unknown on Amazon.com right now. Season 2 and 3 will be coming soon.
It's a horrible, nasty, heavy feeling where it's like something is on your chest. It's hard to breathe. It's not a welcoming feeling at all. You just don't feel welcome in that hallway at all.
There's been 3 or 4 natural deaths. The people that was poisoned, they showed their bodies in.
This place, I can't explain half the stuff that happens, and this is the only place that's ever done that.
All right. What you just heard was the intro for the Paranormal Journey into the Unknown Season 2. So, currently it's in network scouting, so it should be hopefully coming out pretty soon. But what you heard was the intro for the show. So let's go ahead and get this show on the road here. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Phantasmic Journey podcast. We're coming to you live from the PGH Studios. Syndication is brought to you in part by WGKC and Live 365. You can listen to the live broadcast via the Live 365 app for your Apple or Android phone. But if you're like me, you want to use your PC instead, just go to www.live365.com. Now, I know there's a lot of strange things going on out in the paranormal realms these days, and Paula is here to tell you some of her weird and wacky stories. What you got for us tonight, Paula?
Well, it is October, and it's time to run amok.
Run amok?
Run amok.
Okay.
It's time for all the ghouls and witches and everything to decorate your home with, your classrooms with, parties, costumes. This is the month that we can actually shed our skin and become something else.
Shed our skin. Beginning to sound like Beetlejuice. It's showtime.
Well, today is October 2nd,
Yep.
and today is a national lot of things.
It's a hot-ass day.
Yes.
That's the national hot thing right there. Hot-ass day. Jesus.
Well, going with the hot, today is National Produce Misting Day.
Okay, so that consists of people that work at Walmart that get the little handy-dandy spray and start spraying it on all the lettuce?
Yeah.
Here's to you, Mr. Produce Man.
Today is National Custodian Workers Recognition Day.
Oh, dear God.
So,
Urinal cakes. Fresh cakes.
you make sure you recognize your housekeepers, your janitors, and everything in between.
Okay.
Today is National Coffee with a Cop Day. You're supposed to have a cup of coffee with a cop today.
That's not what I thought you said, but I'm just going to be quiet.
Today is National Walk to School Day.
I don't think anybody walks to school anymore.
There might be a handful. Oh, this one's the funny one. National Name Your Car Day. Today is the official day you're supposed to name your car.
I named mine Piece of Shit.
National Pumpkin Seed Day and National Fried Scallop Day.
Wow. I named my truck Piece of Shit after it got ran into a ditch. Missy.
Uh-huh.
She decided, hey, look, this ditch is kind of cool. I'm going to park the truck there.
No, I did not. It's called raining in a bad curve.
Oh.
Okay, on a brief history note, on this day in 1959, a certain television show premiered.
The Ed Sullivan Show.
It made its debut on CBS television.
It's Howdy Doody.
It was hosted by Rod Serling.
Well, shit, I don't know. I'm plumb out of answers.
The classic episode of this show transcended the cheap sets and primitive special effects to become an iconic part of America, with those old episodes often replay on cable television today, featuring many future big stars in their early years. And you can't name it?
Love Boat?
Nope.
Well, I'm out.
It ran for 156 episodes.
Holy crap.
92 was written by Rod Serling himself.
I don't know.
The Twilight Zone.
Oh. There was 100 episodes of The Twilight Zone?
156 to be exact.
That's a lot of Twilight Zone.
Many of the episodes have become deeply ingrained in the American psyche, including To Serve Man, Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street, Walking Distance, and A Time Enough at Last. The series was so good it spawned another Rod Serling series called Night Gallery. A new run of Twilight Zone episodes twice in 1985 and 2002, along with the newest Twilight Zone that is out now.
That one was pretty cool. I actually watched maybe 4 episodes of it.
Oh.
I mean, it's interesting. It's nothing like the originals, but it was interesting. Those 4 they were not that bad.
Well,
There's Michael Keegan, I think it is. Like Key and Peele. Michael Keane. Or I don't know. Keegan. Yeah. Michael Keegan.
Well, going on with our October theme, it's about death. It's about witches and superstitions.
Oh, goody.
And, of course, we have Stephanie on tonight, which makes it even better opening for her because she dwells in all that, and she does all the history and the research of all these wonderful stories.
Yes, she does.
Well, here is a few that has been sold as being a superstition of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
Death comes in 3 in a congregation.
Okay. 3 is usually mocking the Holy Trinity.
Well, they always say death comes in 3s.
I guess.
A wild bird in the house means someone's going to die.
Okay, we don't have one of those.
A dog howling 3 nights in a row means death is near.
We got that.
If you get shingles all around your body, you'll die.
Nope.
If you sneeze, cover your mouth and say the Lord's Prayer, or you'll lose your soul out of your mouth and die.
That's funny.
Some of these are old wives' tales. If 2 women helped a third one get dressed, the youngest of the 3 will die.
Oh, damn.
That's the Kentucky legends. The West Virginia legends has one of their own. From the beginning of recording history down to 1933, we have records of the beliefs in disease and death caused by the malevolent action of some devilish god of conjuring humans. So, if you point in a graveyard, your finger will rot off.
Okay.
Practically every Southern Italian woman who I attend in confidence, whether she was born in Italy or is in the second generation in the U.S., graduated of our high schools, has pinned to her breast by the side of the scapulary of St. Anne, the patron saint of paturant women, a little bunch of gold or coral ornaments to ward off the evil eye.
Okie dokie.
It's a charm against witchcraft, supposedly. Cover every horseshoe found in the road with silver paper, tinfoil, and hang it over their door for the house to ward off witches. A seventh daughter born on Christmas Day possesses witch-like powers.
Okie dokie.
If there are tangles in your hair early in the morning, the witches have been riding you.
Is that better? I guess that's better than a succubus.
If one dreams of a woman with disheveled hair, it means that some member of his family will soon die.
Oh, damn.
If an owl appears on your place when someone there is ill, that person will die in 2 days.
Oh, damn.
If a clock, long and motionless, suddenly begins a tick or a strike, it is a sign of approaching death. A hunter's wife will throw an axe at her husband to give him good luck. If he fails to kill game, his gun will spell, and some old woman was shot in effigy.
Okay, so the woman that throws an axe at her husband for good luck, he has to catch it, right?
I don't know.
Oh, my.
Oh, my God.
Hey, honey. Oh, well, that was supposed to be for good luck. Sorry.
If a clock long... Okay. Let's see. If a clock long motion suddenly begins at 100... Okay. Females bring back luck to coal mines. If you sweep under the bed of a sick person, that person will die.
Who the hell's going to sleep under a bed of a sick person?
If you sweep.
Oh, sweep. I thought you said sleep. I'm like, well, why would you want to sweep under them?
If you let birds use your hair for nesting materials, you'll go crazy. At the stroke of midnight on Halloween, a lighted candle will reveal the future in the mirror's reflection. Look above your left shoulder. To prevent bad luck, do not burn sassafras wood. Don't eat honey on the day a relative is buried. Keep witches at bay by nailing a horseshoe to the bottom of one's butter churn. Dreaming of a snake means the dreamer will soon be killed.
Oh, I don't dream of snakes.
Death is foretold by the ringing of a bell that cannot otherwise be accounted for.
Well, that's in the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland.
If you align your grave site beforehand, north to south, you're a witch.
Oh, Jesus.
If there is a meeting consisting of 13 members, the first to leave will die within a year.
That's 13 ghosts right there. Wow.
Yeah, and this is out of an old superstition. It's the Appalachian History. It's called Appalachian History: Stories, Quotes, and Anecdotes.
Is that all you got?
Yeah, that's what I got for tonight.
Okie doke. If you are joining our show tonight, our special guest is a Kentucky native with the love for history, the theater, and of course the paranormal. She had been able to see ghosts her entire life. This has given her a unique perspective in her life, which led her to amazing experiences, both good and bad. She has had spirits try to physically harm her. She'd been able to connect people to their lost relatives and help bridge the gap between the loved ones. Her abilities has allowed her to experience many things and to share her stories with others. I am talking about our good friend, Stephanie Bingham. Hey, Stephanie, how you doing this evening?
I'm good. How are you?
We're doing pretty good. What do you think of that? The national, what is it called? National Blankety Blank Day?
Oh, all kinds of national days.
Yeah, that's it.
National Produce Misting Day, National Name Your Car Day, National a lot of things.
Well, my car already has a name, so apparently I missed the memo on that one, so I don't know.
Oh, man, that is just crazy. And then, of course, what was all those other things that we were reading? All that stuff for Halloween?
It's basically superstition type stuff.
Yeah. What do you think about superstition?
I don't put a lot of stock in it myself, but when you look at it from sort of a perspective of magic or energy work, something like that, if you believe in something enough, you can create it. So I can see the danger in the superstition more so than the actual fact of it.
I just can't get over the one about The wife throws an axe at her husband for good luck.
Hey, you never know. It might work.
Yeah, if he catches it.
Or if he doesn't, it could work out well. It depends on the situation.
God. Oh, my goodness. Oh. Well, we missed your seminar at Scarefest, and I know it was a good one on, what was it again?
Marie Laveau.
There's a song on that, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's several.
There's several, yeah. Bobby Bear makes the one more famous.
That's the one I know.
Yeah.
Wow. So how did that seminar go? Was it good?
It went really well. There weren't, there was pretty much no seats left, so a lot of people were there for it.
That's good.
Very in-depth, going through talking about the actual sort of fact of history that we can pull out of WPA documents and things like that, about the truth of Marie Laveau, separating it from the fiction of Hollywood, and just the basics of voodoo, things like that. It was a really good lecture, really good group, lots of really interesting questions afterwards, so I always feel when the audience is really engaged that it was a good lecture in my mind.
That's cool. I'm sure Paula's probably got some questions for you.
Well, there was one question.
Probably.
Yeah. There's one question I was asked, and I actually I had a discussion at my job about, Marie Laveau, and they had a question about, is black magic and voodoo the same thing or two different things?
It is absolutely not the same thing. When you're getting into types of magic, white, black, dark, light, things like that, you're really starting to draw lines where they're not natural. Generally speaking, the intent behind the magic makes it light or dark. The grand majority of voodoo that I can find actual historical documentation of is not for malicious or malevolent purposes. It is for things like good luck and money and to get pregnant, things like that. So the grand majority of it would be what you would consider to be a white or a lighter style magic. It is for the good of others. So calling it black magic as a whole is entirely incorrect. Can it be used to a dark magic type purpose? Sure. But to be fair, any kind of magic can. So calling voodoo dark magic is just wrong.
Well, the reason why we brought it up was because of voodoo dolls. I have a few people at work that would like to make some for certain people.
And a lot of people do sort of pin it on the voodoo doll, but I think that is a Hollywood idea. Voodoo dolls started out as something that you could use to bring luck or health to someone. They, like all forms of voodoo, didn't start out evil, aren't inherently evil. They are just a magical implement, if you will.
So sticking the pins in the dolls is fiction?
It's not so much fiction as the purpose behind it. A lot of times it's not so much the pin that you're sticking in it as the color of the ball on the head of it or what you're attaching with the pin to the doll. A lot of times it isn't the malicious aspect of poking someone and making them feel pain. It is, I am binding to this person wealth, I am binding this person luck, I'm binding health, something of that nature is more akin to what you see, historically speaking, with a puppet or a doll of that sort.
So it's kind of like worry dolls.
Kind of the same idea.
What's that?
Worry dolls?
Yeah, what's a worry doll?
I think it's Guatemala or Peru. They have a little pouch and they make little dolls to represent like each member of their family or immediate family or someone that is sick or something, and they put it in a pouch, or at least that's how I remember the story, and they like pray over that person, or it's a representation of a family member, and they could be praying over good health, wealth, same thing as getting pregnant or whatever. It's whatever. It's a worry doll. It's basically you worry about that person.
Okay.
Am I right?
Yeah, basically.
Makes sense to me. I never knew that.
Yeah. So what can you tell our listeners about, since it's, this difference of deciphering the Hollywood version of the voodoo of Marie Laveau versus the actual knowledge about voodoo of Marie Laveau?
So you really have to essentially throw the Hollywood version out. You know, when you're making a movie, when you're making a TV show, whatever it is, you want drama, you want something exciting, you know what I mean? And it's very black and white, so you have to have a bad guy and you have to have a good guy. So when they're portraying Voodoo and Marie Laveau, a lot of times she's a villain. Whereas if you look at it historically speaking, this woman was beloved in her city. She's the one that people who needed something or wanted something went to for help. She was not seen as a boogeyman so much as a healer or a savior or as someone that could offer them assistance. She was someone that had the ear of the other side. If they needed some sort of crazy help, she was the one that would be closest and most able to get it for them. That isn't to say that you didn't want to make her mad, because there were stories about her, and specifically her daughter also, having, tempers. It's not unsurprising. So you've got to throw out that idea that it's evil, that it's dark, that it's bad, whatever it is. It is just a religious belief when you get right down to it. But when you look at sort of the practice of voodoo, especially historically speaking, you're looking at gatherings, sometimes in swamps, sometimes in little corners of the French Quarter in New Orleans. And you're going to have people singing and chanting and dancing and drumming. Sometimes there'll be fire. And sort of the idea of a priestess or a priest of voodoo, a voodoo queen, things like that, is that they have the ear or the favor of the other side. And a lot of times that will manifest itself as them going through a walk-in possession or trans-channeling a voodoo loa, which is their sort of equivalent to a Catholic saint, the sort of demigod figure that can go between the living and the dead. And if you're looking at that from the outside and you don't have a frame of reference for it, that would be terrifying. So I can see where the Hollywood aspects come in, but it's not real. It's not truthful. It's just what it is. It's like when you see the ghosts in Hollywood, they're always dripping blood and,
right?
Super creepy and coming up right behind you and going to kill you, like lay hands on and kill you.
Right.
That's not what you find when you find a ghost. It's just not. It's Hollywood. It is what it is.
Yeah, Hollywood's always destroying things for us. I mean, you got all these new ghost hunters that are coming out, and they're excited because they're starting their own team because they watch what's on TV. And when they go for their initial first investigation, they're hoping to see something that's translucent, maybe glowing blue and smoky, and then they...
I would like to see that.
Yeah, me too. Watch Ghostbusters 2016. There you go.
Exactly.
So, but getting to the voodoo stuff, I mean, you got the dolls, but what about the rituals? I mean, are there good and bad rituals? Because, I mean, I've seen some that I guess are pretty bad.
That's hard, again, to make that judgment call. You are looking at a religion as a whole. Voodoo is a belief system. It is literally a religion. It is a African diaspora religion from the slaves that were brought over, and that is combined with Catholicism. So you have rituals for various different subjects and different meanings behind them.
Right.
But, it's one of those things. You have Catholics and you have Satanists. Technically using the same deities, technically using the same doctrine, if you will, but they can turn it whichever way they like.
Right.
So are there voodoo, quote-unquote, rituals that are dark and evil? There are voodoo-adjacent rituals, sure. But can you say that they are official doctrine, that they are traditionally correct, that they are historically accurate? I don't know about that. It's very, very hard to find documentation of things like that is not clearly fantastical, that is not clearly someone making up a good story to scare the local children at Halloween, So I find it very hard to say that, yes, there are truly dark, actual voodoo rituals. Well, can the magic be corrupted? Can the tradition be corrupted? Sure. Can hoodoo, the actual practicing of root work, can that be turned upside down and used for malevolent forces? Of course it can. It's magic. Magic can be used either way you want it. It's neither light nor dark. It is what it is.
Well,
So,
yeah.
sure.
Well, the reason why I brought...
I think the better question there would actually fall to the Loas, the intercessors between the two, being that they are fully functional and sentient beings. They can make their own choices.
Mm-hmm.
And they, like the magic that they perform, are not seen to be good or evil. They are somewhere in between. So I think you would have a better question saying, you know, what is the intent of the person asking Loa for help, if that makes sense.
Okay. Well, the reason why I brought that up is because some of those voodoo rituals requires chopping off a chicken's head and letting the blood drip into a bowl, or they do something with chicken feet.
Yeah. Things like that are seen as very gruesome and very sort of dark now.
Yeah.
But the tradition of using animals and animal sacrifice for magic goes back to Egypt and beyond.
Oh, okay.
There is nothing unique. There's nothing dark. It is just the idea that to get the attention or to get the help of the other side, you must give them something in exchange. And if the death of a small animal like a chicken will bring in that force, will convince that deity to do what you need it to do, you sacrifice that chicken as a willing, essentially offering to that deity.
Oh, okay.
So, moving on.
I was waiting for you to say something.
Tell us about the new show that you're on.
So I was on a show called Mysteries Decoded on CW, and basically what it is a private investigator, Jennifer Marshall, goes sort of around the country and into Canada looking at some weird and strange occurrences and tries to sort of bring that sort of skeptical mindset into them. She looked into like the Bermuda Triangle and Mothman and Area 51 and Bigfoot. And then she and I ended up in Fall River, Massachusetts, actually looking at Lizzie Borden and the murder that took place there, where Abby and Andrew Borden were axed to death in their own home.
Right.
So it was sort of me as the believer and Jen as the skeptic, quote unquote, going through here and just seeing what we could find, just seeing what sort of evidence still was hanging out in that house and in the city.
We are actually going to go ahead and try to make our way to the Lizzie Borden house, because we're going to be in Massachusetts
In about 2 weeks.
in 2 weeks?
Yeah, it's about 2.5 weeks.
Holy
yeah.
crap.
Yeah.
Yep, 2 weeks. We're going to be in Boston, and we're going to go ahead and try to make a trip on over to Lizzie Borden, because I said I've always wanted to go there. But some people are saying that she didn't do it, or the murders didn't take place in that house, or something like that. I'm like, what? I've heard so many different stories.
And I'm one of them.
I've heard so many stories about Lizzie Borden, but yet they have the
Absolutely.
weapon and everything.
They do. The problem is, at the time the trial took place, the police work of the time was super shoddy. I mean, not to say anything against the police of the time, they were doing the best they could with what they had. But people saw an axe murder, and they're thinking crazed maniac on the loose. What people don't consider is that at the time, every household had to have an axe. You either use it for cooking, to chop logs for that, or for heating. Everyone has an axe on property. You can't get by without one.
Right.
So it is the easiest weapon of opportunity. So you have, like, the axe murders in New Orleans. You have the Vasilla axe murders. You have lots of them all over the country. So it's not really that unique what's happening. The problem was that at the time that the axe murders took place, the only two people that they could pin as being in the house were Lizzie and the maid. And they immediately decided that Lizzie must have done it because she was a little odd.
Right.
And to be fair, Lizzie was a little odd, but so was her family. People like to try and say that Andrew was this miser and, you know, he wouldn't let anyone have anything and he hoarded money and he was sort of crazy like that. But it's entirely untrue. When Andrew actually gave Abby, his wife, her one of her relatives, a house to live in, he gave he gave the sisters Lizzie and Emma a house that they could rent out and get money from themselves.
Mm-hmm.
When Lizzie turned 30, he sent her on a all-expense-paid trip of Europe for her birthday.
Wow.
When he married his wife, he got her an entire new set of furniture for the entire house as sort of a wedding present. The man was not a miser. He just wasn't ostentatious and showy with his money.
Right.
And at the time that they died, Lizzie and her sister had several $1,000s in their own personal bank accounts. That is insane for a woman of the time.
True.
Those girls did not need their daddy for anything. They could have gone out and paid for whatever it is they wanted. And there's really no motive in my mind for Lizzie to have committed the murders. Mm-hmm. And one of the first police officers on scene actually said that Lizzie, to his eye, was clean, her hair was dry and unmussed. The house that you are talking about had no running water at the time. There is no way you can commit an axe murder, bloody as it would be, come out clean, and especially with your hair still in place where it's meant to be. In my mind, the best suspect for the murder itself is actually the uncle who arrived the night before. He was meant to sign paperwork with Andrew, the father, to take over a business for him. That didn't happen. And the very next day, in the bedroom that he slept in the night before, Abby Borden was axed to death. Now, shortly after that, the father was axed to death downstairs. The uncle then somehow made his way across town and, strangely enough, memorized the first and last names of 6 people on a trolley, which seems odd to begin with. And then he stood outside the family house after a crowd had started gathering, eating peaches for over an hour before he decided to ask a cop that was standing guard what was happening inside the house.
Huh.
Now, the man, his actual job, he was a butcher.
Right.
I think if anyone here is a good candidate for the actual culprit behind the Lizzie Borden murders, I think it was their uncle. Now, it's not to say I don't think the girls had a hand in it, because I think they probably convinced their uncle, who was their actual maternal uncle, not their stepmother's uncle. I think that they probably convinced him to kill the stepmother, who they hated. They absolutely hated their stepmother for no good reason, but they hated her.
Right.
And I think he probably had some deep-seated issues with Andrew and killed him for his own reasons.
Wasn't there a minister or a pastor or something that stuck around there, was infatuated with one of the women?
See, that's where you get sort of these weird stories. The one that sticks out in my mind is the fact that after Lizzie was acquitted, the jury, the all-male jury, took a picture and had it sent to her, which is super rare and super weird at the time. Lizzie became sort of a cult figure, sort of fashionable and interesting. After the murders took place, she and her sister sold the family house there and moved up on the hill where they'd always wanted to live with the rest of their family.
Right.
The Borden family was huge. They wanted to live next to their aunts and uncles, and that's where they ended up living. And Lizzie, for a time, became sort of a socialite, not in Fall River, but with people from D.C. and things like that, the bigger cities around. There was actors and actresses that would actually come to the house and they would throw lavish parties. So it was a weird family, but I don't know.
Yeah. I was always wondering about that because I've seen so many stories and it's like, I don't even know what to believe. I mean, I've read a book about it. I've read some things online. I've seen movies on it. And the one thing that I saw was there was a minister or a pastor that was infatuated with Lizzie, I guess. And something happened where he kind of went nuts and killed everybody and then jumped on the train and left town.
And that is the theory I've heard sort of along those same lines, was that there was a hidden brother that Andrew had an affair at some point, and that son had showed up and killed Andrew and Abby for whatever reason. And I think that theory gets a lot of credit because it has sort of that, you know, creepiness to it. It's like the stories of Lizzie killing her parents in the nude, because that's how she got the blood off her body. It's a great story, but it's clearly not true. I mean, it's just not something that would have been done at the time. And when I was there, I got to talk, we did a couple of seances or channeling sessions when I was there, and I actually got to talk to Lizzie and Abby, the stepmother, and I was really, really surprised at how they interacted. Lizzie was very calm and very polite. She wasn't the most friendly ghost I've ever met.
Right.
But she was a lady of her time, very much buttoned up, very much conservative, very much, we're going to stay proper, we're going to follow the rules of etiquette, and we're going to make this work. If you treated her like a lady, she would treat you like a lady back. There was nothing untoward about this woman. So I have a hard time sort of reconciling that with an axe murder. Now, when we went to the Borden bed and breakfast, Abby was there, and Abby was an emotional wreck.
Oh.
Like, just everything was there, and she kept saying, she just wanted the girls to love her. That's all she ever wanted was the girls to love her. She doesn't understand why not. And I thought that was, a pretty normal consensus. But when I asked Abby who had killed her, she would not name names. When I asked her if it was a family member, she said yes. It was this very odd dichotomy there. But what truly struck me about Abby's spirit was that she didn't act like most human spirits that you interact with, at least from sort of a mediumship standpoint. If I'm standing here talking to a ghost, most of them sort of respect boundaries and stay where they're put.
Right.
The ones that I've met that are a little more forceful and a little less inclined to listen to a boundary are the ones that aren't quite human. And Abby, for whatever reason, immediately knew that she could sort of latch onto me, try and steal my energy and force emotions into me.
Oh, wow.
Like, she was a predator. And I don't know if that's something she learned after she died, or if this woman had that sort of predatory nature while she was still alive.
Good question. That's interesting. So, you said the Borden bed and breakfast. Where was the other one where you talked to Lizzie herself? Where was that at?
That was Maplecroft. That was the house that the Borden sisters actually bought after the murders took place. They decided they didn't want to live in the house where their father, who was very much beloved by them, and their stepmother, who they hated, had been killed. So they moved up to what they call the Hill. It's literally a hill in Fall River, and that's where all of the wealthier members of Fall River Society lived. The Borden family was wealthy, so they went up there and they lived with all their cousins. They bought a house named it Maplecroft and lived there essentially until they died.
How far is that
It's
from
not open to the public.
Oh, well, there goes my question right there out the window.
Yeah, that one's only a couple of miles from the actual bed and breakfast, but the same people own Maplecroft that own the bed and breakfast. And they're trying to go through the process of making it a bed and breakfast also, but they haven't gotten all the I's dotted and T's crossed for that.
Well, did you check out Salem while you were up there? Salem witch trials?
I really wanted to, but no, I wasn't there for that. Jennifer actually went on to Salem afterwards, and she'd had to sit through a seance with me shortly before that, and then she went through a pagan ritual there, so...
Oh, wow.
I feel like that may have not been Jim's favorite part of filming.
Oh, wow. Yeah, while we're up there, we're going to be filming 2 locations for Truth or Legends in your hometown with our Boston team, or actually our Massachusetts team. So we're going to check out the Lizzie Borden bed and breakfast, and then also possibly Salem, because we're up there for, 5 days? 4 or 5 days?
4 or 5. Yeah, it's almost 4.5 days.
Yeah, and then we're making a special trip over to Times Square. As soon as I get the time and the date, we're supposed to be on Good Morning America talking about Truth or Legends. So I'm trying to see how I can get all this stuff kind of crammed together while we're there in Massachusetts.
You don't sleep. That's how you do it.
We do that now.
Exactly. So do it less and you'll be good.
Oh, jeez.
A lot of vitamin B12's going to happen.
Yeah, that's right. And maybe some energy drinks, Mountain Dew kick drinks or something like that.
That's how everything gets filmed, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, man. I tell you what. this new show that we're doing that's going to be heading to Netflix, I love doing this because it is so cool and it's interesting because you're working with so many different teams. You get to see how they investigate, and I mean, this is the true meaning of para-unity. Everybody's working all together. We have 28 teams in 20 states, and we've got 6 states that we're doing for season 1. It's going to give us 4 locations each, so we're going to have 12 episodes for season 1. And it's just so cool because of the concept that Paula came up with long time ago, and then she wound up pitching it. And a lot of people just really love it, and there's so many people are just jumping on board because this concept is just so cool, and it's awesome. I mean, you get to go all these places, investigate places that no one has really stepped foot in, or it's not saturated like all those other places that are out there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, we're going to try to plan that. I believe there's also a Paracon that we're supposed to make an appearance at too. Jeez. You got a question for her? You're like playing on your phone, so I don't know what you're doing.
I had a message sent to me. I was trying to answer it.
Okay.
We have so many projects in the pot, and I had someone ask me.
So many projects in the pot?
Yeah.
How about, irons in the fire. Okay, so, we got a lot of listeners here that they kind of know who you are through us, but then again, they don't know. And let's see. There you go.
Okay.
Read that one.
When did you become interested in the paranormal? Was it an experience?
Well, I've seen dead people since I was about 1.5 years old that I'm aware of. I saw my first one at that age, and I actually know this because I told my mom about it afterwards. She didn't actually tell me that the person I was seeing was dead, so I didn't actually realize that anything was odd until I was in middle school. That's when I sort of figured it out for myself that everyone else couldn't see the same things that I was seeing. So I had a weird introduction there, but they've always been there. So I, especially when I went off to college, really wanted to give myself some context. Mm-hmm. I did not want to be the only person I knew that had had these sort of encounters. So I started digging for cultures and historical figures that had had the same sort of quirks that I do. So it would sort of give me at least something of a basis, you know, a grouping to make myself not feel like a freak.
So you had to have your own group type scenario. You didn't want to have that person look at you and go, yeah, you're crazy, you know. Yeah. That still happens to me on occasion.
Well, they've done that my whole life, but I just needed something to prove to myself that this was not a one-off thing. I needed somebody else who's had the same experience, basically.
Yeah.
So, when you actually saw these spirits, what did they look like to you?
Depends on the time and the spirit. When I was very young, I didn't really know how to shield or to push them out or to make them not me. I thought they were people. Mm-hmm. The very first ones that I saw, especially the first ones, they looked like people. They looked like actual people.
Wow.
The problem with the very first one I saw was that he would come in through the window.
Okay.
And that's always how I reckoned it. He'd always appear in front of the window, come and sit down on the bed and talk to me. That's what he did. That's what he still does when he shows up.
Huh.
But it's a very much a matter of shows up in the window, I wake up, he comes over, sits down, we chat, and then he goes off eventually.
Back out the window?
And I've had, and generally not, generally just sort of a poof.
Oh, jeez.
Like he just fades and he goes. But very much one of those things that I thought was solid, I thought was real. As I got older, I got better at discerning what was alive and what was not, what it looks like and what it feels like.
Right.
But there's still the occasional spirit. I had one in New Orleans do it to me when I was in high school, which I was well beyond. I knew what a ghost was at that point. I knew how to spot them. I knew what I was doing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. High school mindset. And this little girl, she came up to me. She wanted me to walk her across a room. I said, okay, sure, whatever. Took her hand, walked her across the room. By the time we got to where she wanted to go, I looked down, the little girl is gone. Oh. She had held my hand. Oh. I did not realize when she was holding my hand that she was not alive.
Oh, wow.
So there's still some like that, and the one that attacked me, the ones that have physically hurt me. Most of those are inhuman, but still, there's a physicality to them that I think people discount. And I'm not sure if it's because of my quirks or because the spirits in question are just very, very powerful, very, very energetic, very, very able to manipulate what's around them.
Right.
But I do still have the occasional spirit that will trip me up. That's why if I'm in a crowded place and someone calls my name or talks to me, I won't respond to them if I don't know them until I see somebody else react to them.
Well, here's going to be a strange question for you. When you were walking with this little girl and you were holding her hand, other people would not see that. They would see you with your arm extended on out. Looks like you're holding something, right?
Yep.
Have you had that happen before? Someone looked at you going, what are you doing?
Not for holding someone, but for talking to things that they couldn't see, yes. Absolutely. It was great.
I blame that on Bluetooth.
I was a very popular kid in elementary school and middle school and high school, as I'm sure you can imagine.
I'd be blaming that on Bluetooth.
There was a Bluetooth at the time, though.
Oh, wow.
I barely had a cell phone, like a flip phone.
Oh, jeez. Man.
Like, I remember my first cell phone was one of those block ones. You know what I mean? It was blue, it had buttons and no screen.
Oh.
It was one of those.
Wow. Those are nice. Yeah.
Oh, they were. They're great, like, assault weapons. You can throw them at people. It's fantastic.
I remember my first phone. It actually, it kind of looked like a half of a cinder block with an antenna.
Exactly. See, you remember what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Mine were a little newer than that, but not by much.
And my dad had one that was a bag phone. It actually was inside the car.
That's weird.
Yeah. That was... And you can take your phone with you. You got to carry it in a purse.
Because it was too heavy, yep.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yep.
It was like, you're lugging around 40 pounds because you got this big, huge battery. I remember them days.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my goodness. Paula? Quit. What are you doing?
I'm sorry. I've got.
You need to pay attention.
I am, but I'm having to deal with that crisis.
Well.
So, what is the strangest thing you've ever dealt with since you have kind of put yourself into the paranormal world?
See, strange is very, very relative. Because I think the thing that freaked me out the most and I found the strangest was actually an experience that a lot of people sort of brush off as just being one of those weird things that happen, at least in my life when I tell this story. Because when I was younger, I think I was really late high school, early college, I remember one night I was sleeping in my bed. I would lay down. I'd been reading a book. I wasn't asleep. I was just laying there sort of curled up on my side. And I felt the bed next to me depress, just like it does when the guy who comes through the window comes to talk to me, and that's who I expected it to be. I was in a really bad mood, so I was just like, go away, I don't want to deal with you. And the next thing I knew, this entity, this thing, decided that its best option was to sort of lay down next to me, sort of like spoon up right against me, put its arm around my waist.
Oh, wow.
Like it was going to, like, snuggle with me.
Aww.
And I sort of kind of lost my mind a little bit. I freaked. I majorly freaked. Like, that was a bridge too far. That was, I was not okay with anything about that. I remember getting up. I remember going to the bathroom. I was, like, sitting in the bathtub.
Oh, geez.
Because it was one of those situations. I was sitting in the bathtub because I knew that if something did come and sit down next to me, I could not see it depressed. Mm-hmm. So the bathtub was the place that I could sit and sort of collect my brain again after what had just happened.
Mm-hmm.
So in my mind, that was one of the craziest experiences I had. The problem is the entity that did it was trying to be comforting. It was someone or something that I knew. It wanted to, like, it was being nice. It was trying to give me what it thought I needed. It just creeped me out royally doing so. I think the one that people think should be the craziest or creepiest or weirdest experience I had was when the little inhuman spirit pushed me down a flight of stairs. But that one had a very different tone to it, a very different reaction from me. That one was very much a fight between us. And I'm much more okay with that on an emotional level than I was with the weird thing that decided to hop in bed with me.
Right. Well, we've actually had something freaky similar to that, but not in a bathroom or bed. But I was setting up a trail camera at this place called the Asbury Cemetery. And while I'm setting up the camera, I'm lowering down the tripod leg and everything, and I'm getting it situated. I can see the grass go down, pop back up, and just a couple inches away from it, from where it went down, the grass would go back down again and pop up. And it was doing that like, to me, someone was walking toward me that I couldn't see.
Mm-hmm.
That freaked me out. I called someone. I said, yeah, there's someone walking toward me. And they're like, well, go ahead and talk to them. Tell them why we're here. I'm like, I can't see them.
Always a good sign. Always a good sign.
Oh, yeah. And then it just, like, the grass stayed down. Like someone was standing right in front of me. I'm like, it's right here.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of ignored it and continued setting up the camera and kind of walked away from that area very quickly.
That doesn't surprise me. That's kind of what you do in that situation.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever had an unknown, spirit come to you to help them find answers?
It's not so much that they will come and ask me for answers. Occasionally when I am out and about, I will encounter or run across a spirit that wants me to tell someone something.
They're asking you for help.
Generally, they're asking me for help to talk to someone that's alive, generally speaking.
Mm-hmm.
And my response to that, as it has always been, is if you can get me a full name, a phone number, and an address, we'll do that. Absolutely.
And you don't...
It doesn't happen often. Occasionally you get somebody that just is persistent enough that you're like, yeah, I've got to do this. But I have such a problem with people who would, walk up to you and be like, hey, you got great Aunt Sally back here that wants to say hi to you. That's awful. If someone is out and about in a public place, they are not looking to talk to great dead Aunt Sally. They are looking to go to the store. They are looking to, They're looking to do something productive.
Right.
This is not an occurrence that happens, when you're at a place and you're doing readings. It's not the kind of thing I'm talking about. It's the ones that show up in public places and are like, hey, that one over there, go say hi. No. That's,
Yeah.
It feels like you're infringing on that person. You're, putting something on there emotionally that they are not in a space to deal with. So, you know.
Yeah, have you seen that movie Ghost Town with the guy that's a dentist?
No.
Okay, well, he's a dentist. He's a loner, lives by himself. That's the way he likes it. He likes to be secluded from the world. He's a recluse. But when he, leaves his hotel, he goes to work, all of a sudden, he wound up, telling someone, like, hey, why don't you watch it before you get hit by a car? All of a sudden, the guy turns around and goes, oh, he can see me. Well, next thing you know, he goes and tells his buddies, and those buddies go tell everybody. Next thing you know, the guy wakes up in bed, and he's got about 50 people in his room asking for his help.
Yeah.
He can see them.
See, I've encountered things like that, especially when I was younger and sort of figuring out the ins and outs of dead people, is that when they realize you can see them, they become more annoying. They become much more insistent, and they're like, hey. And sometimes you do get times, I don't like hospitals for that reason. There's multiple spirits in there. They're looking for someone to talk to. If you make a wrong move, if they see you look at them and realize that you're looking at them and not looking through them, they will essentially try and attach themselves to you and just try and get that human interaction that they're missing or looking for. And it's overwhelming. It's crazy. It's creepy. So the goal is to pretend like you don't see them.
Oh, lovely.
It's a great game to play all your life.
Well, hell, I can't see him anyway. How about you? Can you see him?
No.
Oh. Well,
I just feel emotions is all I feel.
Well, I kind of get, I get that every now and then, but yeah, I would love to see them because that way I would know what direction to talk.
It's true, but I think that if you are born seeing them, it's one thing. I think if someone were to say you woke up tomorrow and you had my quirks, I don't think it would go well for you. It's something you almost had to grow up to sort of make your psyche okay with over time. You know what I mean?
Right.
It would be traumatic.
Well, the only other thing is you got these people that have near-death experiences. They come back and boom, they've got this gift.
Exactly.
That I don't understand. I'm assuming that when they actually died, that it opened up a certain part of their brain that was not in use, and when they come to, that portion of the brain is now fully active.
I would say that is probably a decent version of that explanation. I wonder if it doesn't have something to do with what happens to the soul on the other side. If something doesn't, click a little bit differently for them over there and they come back aligned a little differently.
You think it's possible to actually have a near-death experience and come back with no soul?
I have only seen one person in my entire life that had nothing animating the body. Mm-hmm. I'm very, very bad about, I don't look at people, I feel them. As I'm walking through a room, I sort of feel the people around me. I don't really keep my eyes on them. I just sort of, feel
mm-hmm.
them, where they're at, what they're doing, milling around, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I was at the big mall down in Nashville, the really, really big one.
Opry Mills?
Yeah, Opry Mills.
Opry Mills, yeah, that's where it was. And I was down there. I was in some little store, and I guess my mom had gone a couple stores over or something, and I was kind of bopping around a little bit myself at that point. And I looked over, and I saw a mannequin, and I saw some people, and I was just looking at this little rack of stuff. And the next thing I know, the mannequin moved. And I kind of lost my mind again. And I did it again. I reached out. I tried to feel this woman. She wasn't there. Like, everyone has sort of a feel to me. If I reach out energetically, I can feel what you feel like. And everyone feels a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
But this woman, I reached out to feel her, and it felt like an inanimate object.
Oh.
There was nothing inside there running that person.
Oh.
I don't know how she was up and moving.
Huh. Well, the reason why I brought that kind of sort of up is because before we go to our break here, almost at the top of the hour, we were investigating a place called Industrial Slaughterhouse, and my camera guy was up against the wall filming us, and for some weird reason we got the number 7 come across our Ovilus, and then also out of the Devil Jersey box.
She knows about it because that's the one I had to send her pictures of the things on the vase.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Same location.
while he was up against the wall, he said he felt something reach through him, through the back, into his, and it started pulling his life away. In other words, he said he was holding the camera there shaking, but yet he was seeing his entire life just playing before his eyes, and he just dropped the camera and left. And when he went outside, he had to gain composure and everything. And from that day forward, I mean, the next day he was just sad. He had no happiness. He was just dead. It's like
he didn't have any emotions.
He had no emotions whatsoever. So I had to ask my friend Jared. And he said, yeah, he goes, that was a soul eater or something like that, or a grim that took his soul, or part of it. But yeah, to this day, he's still the same way. It's like he's missing something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's very odd.
I only see that in Supernatural.
Exactly.
Which is coming on later this month.
Yay!
Sorry. I had to get that out there. Hey, I missed that show. I missed that show. It's the last dang season. Oh, I'll tell you something that's really cool. The last episode of Season 5 of Supernatural, they're going to be playing a mashup of Carry On, My Wayward Son that I put together for them. that Richard went ahead and took and said, we're going to play this while we do a montage of all the episodes, starting from like sad and lovingly to action and everything, because my mashup is a ballad, rock, heavy metal, and then drops back to a ballad. It is so cool.
Sounds like it.
Yep. So we are at the top of the hour, and we are talking to Stephanie Bingham, and we've already had a long discussion about voodoos, and we're talking about that she was able to talk to dead people at a early age and still continues to do so. And we're going to go ahead and pause for a brief identification, commercials and everything, and we will be right back with our guest. You're listening to the Phantasmic Journey podcast.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. You can make a difference by dropping off a hot meal and saying a quick hello. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do.
Know someone being bullied online? You can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Keyboard Cat, Hamilton the Pug, and Toast Meets World. These are some of the internet's most beloved pets. And they all have one thing in common. Their stories started in a shelter. Start your story. Adopt a dog or cat today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Training that pet to play the keyboard, that's optional. Start a story. Adopt a shelter or rescue pet today. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Okay, what are you wearing right now?
Nothing.
That's right. So Mommy's going to teach you how to dress yourself. Underwear always comes first, name tag at the back, then pants, then shirt. Get the first button in the right hole or you have to start all over. Socks going first, then shoes, right on right, left on left. With shoelaces, just take the ends, cross them over, switch the loops, the rabbit goes down the hole, pull tight, and you're left with bunny ears. Got it? Why are your pants on your head?
Most parenting's hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. Visit tunein2x.org to find out more. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
How's it going? I'm having a stroke. Are you going to shake my hand? I'm having a stroke. Wow, you're not even moving your arm. I'm having a stroke.
When someone is having a stroke, they may not be able to say it with words, but their body language will tell you loud and clear. Look for FAST. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911 immediately. Know the sudden signs. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
The storks are bringing me a baby brother! We can do this together!
All right, let's go! Storks know how to keep kids safe. Do you?
What? Oh my gosh, you don't know.
I know.
You don't? Oh man, you laugh when you're uncomfortable.
No. Making sure your child is in the right car seat is one of the steps to safer travel.
I will rock this!
You will rock this! To know for sure that your child is in the right car seat for their age and size, visit safercar.gov/the right seat.
Cool. Very cool.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad
Welcome
Council.
to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all gotta see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text Barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text Barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
It's important to plan ahead for emergencies, like the storm. When it kicked in, we had a plan.
Separated.
We were able to get in touch with each other in no time.
Idea how to find each other.
The whole experience was
the
fine.
most frightening 10 hours of my life.
If there's one piece of advice I'd offer other moms out there, it's to stay calm and keep to the plan.
Some parents plan ahead, some don't. Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan at ready.gov. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. You can make a difference by dropping off a hot meal and saying a quick hello. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do.
Know someone being bullied online? You can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. But he's a part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. No time for tired. Nothing can disable this love. He needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Phantasmic Journey Podcast is brought to you by Tascam and Amazon Studios. For more than 30 years, Tascam has developed products for every segment of the sound and music industry. From the high-end audio professional in a major post-production studio to the novice of hobbyist at home, Tascam is everywhere. They are a company committed to providing their customers audio and video solutions that enable breakthroughs by using sound in ways that are exciting as they are accessible, even recording the voices of the dead. You asked for a non-scripted paranormal TV show. You begged for a non-staged paranormal TV show. You begged and you pleaded, and we have listened. We present to you Season 1 of The Paranormal Journey into the Unknown. It was released October 31st, 2017. In this series, we show you what it's like behind the scenes and conducting a real paranormal investigation. Join Gavin Kelly, Colin Purcell, and their special guests to seek out the existence of life after death by going to numerous haunted locations such as jails, hospitals, battlefields, and museums, collecting compelling evidence by means of video, photography, and EVPs. In this season, the crew investigates the St. Albans Sanatorium, Old South Pittsburgh Hospital, Jailhouse Pizza, and the famed Monroe House. And you can watch Season 1 of The Paranormal Journey into the Unknown on Amazon.com right now. Season 2 and 3 will be coming soon.
It's a horrible, nasty, heavy feeling where it's like something is on your chest. It's hard to breathe. It's not a welcoming feeling at all. You just don't feel welcome in that hallway at all.
There's been 3 or 4 natural deaths. The people that was poisoned, they showed their bodies in.
This place, I can't explain half the stuff that happens, and this is the only place that has ever done that.
And welcome back to the Phantasmic Journey Podcast. We are coming to you live from the PGH Studios. Syndication is brought to you in part by WGKC and Live 365. You can listen to the broadcast via the Live 365 app for your Apple or Android phone. If you want to use the PC, go to www.live365.com and search for WGKC. What you just heard a few moments ago was the intro for the Paranormal Journey into the Unknown Season 2. Soon to come out. We've been talking to our special guest this evening, Stephanie Bingham. She is a Kentucky native with a love of history, the theater, and paranormal. She's been able to see ghosts her entire life, and this has given her a unique perspective in her life, which led her to many amazing experiences. Both the good and the bad. And we've been talking all about them. So let's bring our guest back. Welcome back, Stephanie.
Thank you.
So what do you think about all them commercials? That was pretty good, wasn't it?
It was.
My favorite one is like that woman teaching her daughter how to get dressed. Like, why do you have hands on your head?
Oh, I love the blood pressure one.
The what? The blood pressure one?
Where you know? And she says, "Oh, I'll check it out after I get done watching the
I
panda
want to check
video."
it out after I get done watching this baby panda video. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, these are commercials that we have to play because, well, you know,
And
it's
you-
ads.
And you hear about the same ones every week.
Actually, there were 3 different ones on there.
Yeah, one time we had one that was a constant repeat. One week it was like every
geez.
other commercial was the same commercial, and I'm like, memorized the thing by the time the third time came around.
Yeah, we don't need that. All right. So, to pick up where we left off, we were talking about how can someone actually live without a soul? I'm sure that is a question that probably a lot of people would ask. I mean, that is amazing that you actually can live without a soul. But I would think if you didn't have a soul, you're dead physically, because you know that's the way it is. Wouldn't you think?
I don't know. It's kind of the same concept, and it's not getting into the religion concept, but it's like, for me, I asked a pastor this one time, long time ago, what if you have a person that goes to church and tries to live according to what the Bible says and how their and how the church doctrine goes,
right?
But they don't have the Holy Spirit in them. They don't have the movement of, you know, seeing the blood of Christ, showing the blood of Christ, and all the believing stuff. And
the righteous gemstones?
No, not the righteous gemstones.
Oh, my bad.
But I mean, I asked this one time, a long time ago, and I was like, what if you have someone that comes through and they cannot just get into the program of what's going on, and they've been to several churches and they just can't fit in, but they believe what the Bible says, but they don't get the lifting spirit from that. And some people, and the pastor told me, he says, there is a handful of people out there that just does not have, that can try to believe in a doctrine that is not accepting them to them, because the fact is they don't have it in them. They don't have a Holy Ghost inside them. They don't have some. He says, according to him, that there is a handful of people that is not born with one.
What do you think about that, Stephanie?
I think that it is possible, highly probable, that some people are running around without what animates people, without a soul. You hear about theories of people having souls of other things, be it aliens or something like that, running them, and I could sort of see that as a logical answer too. But I don't think that you have to have a soul in order to be alive. I mean, think about it. Plants are alive, technically. They probably don't have a soul. I've never seen a ghost of one before.
No?
Even some of the lower orders of animals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Lizards and turtles and things. I've never seen a ghost turtle walking past. I mean, I guess it's possible, but they are technically alive.
That's a different analogy.
Yeah.
I've heard that one. Well,
Well, the last time I had you on, we had you on the show. We had talked about the Mandy tree and the
fairies
and the the fairies,
the blue lights.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about that here in a minute because I've got a couple of extra questions to ask on something because I've shared your story about fairies to several people, and I have gotten a couple of theories back and also some open-ended questions that I really couldn't answer, but knowing that you were going to be back on the show, I could ask you, and maybe you can kind of relate to the situation at hand. But I know we had talked about the Mandy tree, and we talked about the beast, some kind of beastly creature that roams the state of Kentucky.
The Beast of LBL?
Well, that's a whole different story right there. And that thing's just gotten ridiculously big right now. It's interesting because they actually have an LBL Beast launching every year out there where people are actually going out there with... It's interesting. But anyway, besides the point, we had talked about fairies and that you had told us the story about fairies and different things. And I've had other people that has said they have experienced seeing strange little lights. And you had talked about blue lights, but I've had some of them come and tell me in their state they have had yellow and pink lights. And I have had some of them, a couple of people tell me that they actually, when they were little and she how did she say it? She said when she was little, she could actually see the fairies themselves. And that's when she was like 3-4 years old. And then when she got a little older, she still saw them. But then when she got to a certain age, all she saw was the light. She didn't actually see the fairies anymore. Can you relate to that?
I can't personally. I know that I've heard stories of people seeing the lights in various colors. So that, I think, is pretty ubiquitous. It's all over the world. People see things differently, just how your body interprets it, or even just a regional difference in the entity you're dealing with. As far as the people seeing something up to a point and then it stopping, that is a very, very common situation. A lot of people go through what they call an awakening, where as a child they had some interactions with some sort of paranormal something. Generally, about the time they enter school, that stops, and then sometime in generally the late teens, sometimes early teens up through the 20s, and the really late ones generally in the 30s, where they suddenly start to have some level of interaction with things again. So that happens constantly. People always talk about how, I used to see things, then it stopped, then it came back. It seems to be a very, very common trait over times and over cultures and distance and everything else.
Gotcha. So getting back into what we were talking about, what are you doing? Oh.
Getting you to the microphone. See, I told you, Stephanie, didn't I?
I'm pleading out of that one. I didn't hear a thing.
Do you believe that everybody has a certain perceptive, as in knowing their surroundings, as in knowing not the unknown, as in having that small percentage of a gift? Do you believe everybody has that perspective, or just certain people do?
I would like to say that I think everyone has that sort of talent, but let's be serious. Not everyone can sing. Everyone can attempt it, and a lot of people are really bad at it. And I think it's more akin to a talent than it is something that is everywhere. I think most people have, if not an innate ability to do it, the ability to learn at least a small portion of it. But that's not to say that every single person out there could do it.
I'm starting to slowly pick it up. Whenever we go to a location, I can actually sense something. I can sense dread, despair, sadness, and I can also say if there's somebody in this room, I can feel them. So that's something that I've kind of sort of picked up since we've been doing this. But, her on the other hand, she's the empath and the sensitive. I'm just along for the ride.
See, I forgot where I was at. Oh. Can you dispel, have you ever associated yourself with a spirit or a human being that terrified you?
I don't generally associate with ghosts that I personally find scary. Now, a lot of people that I have met who are perceptive and of certain beliefs are not entirely comfortable around some of the ghosts that I am very, very comfortable with. So I'm not generally the one that's uncomfortable. Generally, others are uncomfortable around things that make me very comfortable. So I'm sort of the opposite of that.
Gotcha. So what can you tell people that basically you have these gifts and how do I explain this? Have you ever went through someplace and that person just stuck out like a sore thumb and you felt like you need to go talk to them?
Dead or alive?
I was going to ask the same question.
Both. I mean, if you had, you could tell there was something to the point you felt like you had to talk to a person that was alive. And it could be like one of those deals that you just, you walk through a crowd and it's just one of those deals that you just felt that person needs to have, someone to talk to them. And it was just one of those deals that it just boggled at your brain. And it just kind of gave you that beaking noise of, something.
So, have you ever seen the old show Highlander?
Yes.
Yep. She's a huge fan.
I've oftentimes felt with certain people that I have connections to, when you walk into a room, that sort of Highlander, you look and you can feel them. That. Like, they know the other one is there. I've oftentimes found that to be a thing where you walk into a room, you recognize that energy, that spark, that soul, whatever it is, you know them on some sort of spiritual level, past life level, whatever you want to talk about it as. And those people that I'm drawn to like that, I examine very closely. Because I've learned that sometimes just because you know them does not mean that you want to go talk to them. Because, you might want to disassociate for various reasons. That would be very, very smart. It took me quite a long time to sort of wrap my brain around that one. But if they're alive, yes, I will. If they are dead and I am in a position where I don't have anything real world, quote unquote, that I need to be doing, and there's no one else around, sure, I'll go talk to them. But if it's a ghost and I feel that sort of spark with, and I've got other things to do, I might offer them the opportunity to follow me and come home and talk about it later. But real word comes before the dead things always.
Can you dispel the notion that the spirits that you communicate with, have a lot of people out there says, well, every spirit that you talk to, there's going to be evil involved. Have you ever really associated or tried to disassociate the whole situation of the evil factor?
To be fair, I specialize, if you will, in dealing with spirits that were never people. A fair majority of those are at least malicious when provoked. I mean, you're dealing with things that think more like animals than people, generally speaking. So a fair amount of those can be very, very aggressive at times. As far as truly evil, I think that is a very, very, very rare occurrence, even in the inhuman spirits. Although I have met spirits of humans who had killed people when they were alive, and they were still trying to hold on to that victim that they took while they were alive on the other side. So there are very evil, very dark human souls, more so than the animalistic, if you will, of the inhuman. I think it's just a completely different mindset, a completely different scale of grading, if you will.
I'm speechless on that.
My life is weird.
Yeah.
Let's see. I don't know how to follow on that one.
I told you, I'm speechless.
Guys.
I'm over here just looking at my microphone.
So doing something interesting?
Nope, but I'm going cross-eyed.
All right.
Hope she don't hit me in the back of the head. It'll be permanent.
Wow. So have you ever been to a location that just mind-boggled you?
A single location, no. What I have encountered is it's the city of New Orleans as a whole. When I am there, the city itself feels like it has a soul. It feels like it is going to take you where it wants you to go. The city itself feels alive to me. So that city in and of itself sort of envelops me, or just it feels so radically different than anything else I ever felt before that it is all-consuming. And I just love the way that it interacts with you. It'll almost play with you. So I really am sort of drawn to that sort of feeling, more so than just a singular location. Because most times if I'm going to a place, you are looking for a ghost, or you know sort of what's going to be there, or, you know, it's got that overwhelming emotion that's coming on the front end of it, not so much on the back end. So it's kind of weird, but it's definitely that city that made the biggest impact on me.
Was it a certain location in the city, or is it just everything in general?
I think it centers for me more around the Quarter and the Garden District, but specifically the Quarter itself. Like when you cross over that boundary and you are in the French Quarter of New Orleans, it feels almost like it is an entity in and of itself. Like the city of New Orleans is a ghost almost, is the way it feels to me. So, but it's generally around those two areas.
It's creepy.
Oh, it's fantastic.
I've been there. I've been to the French Quarter. I've been. I wanted to go to Bloody Mary's, but it was closed. Couldn't go to the cemetery because, well, you got to get there ahead of time.
Absolutely. I think it's funny though. Bloody Mary was one of the first people who, outside of my family, realized that I could see things. Oh. So I've always had a very, very soft spot in my heart for her in particular.
Yeah, Paula didn't quite go down there. We went to the Haunted Bourbon, and that was at the hotel. I forgot what the name of the hotel.
All I know is we were 6 blocks from the French Quarter, and we didn't get to make it down there.
Yeah, nope.
Boo.
That's how close we are.
Yeah.
I was more interesting in how to get down there than I was anything else, because all I felt was bridges and water everywhere you went.
Oh my God!
Well, it's under sea level. You're fine.
That was the longest.
Bring your water wingies.
Yeah, that was the longest freaking bridge I've ever been on. It had
You're
water on both sides.
I was fascinated when you had the houses on stilts.
Well, the ones that were in the swamp?
Yeah, so I'm over here going, they had to have little John boats or whatever to get to them. And I was like, it kind of reminded me of, I'm a Pirates of the Caribbean fan, and it kind of reminded me of...
The ride or the movie?
The movie.
Oh, okay.
And, well, I like the ride too, but more or less the movie. And there was like interaction, there's like the interaction backdrops I watched on how they filmed the movie, and it was interesting that they did take some of the backlotting ideas and built their own version of the swamps.
Mm-hmm.
I must have missed that. What movie was that?
No, it was a backlot. It was like the behind-the-scenes stuff.
Oh, you mean... Oh, okay. You can see it on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, too.
Oh.
We didn't go to the one on Disneyland, did we? Only Disney World?
No, we went to both.
Okay.
That's the one I told you. We did a tour. I compared and contrast. And I was like, the Disneyland one is a whole lot longer than the one in Disney World.
Yeah, because you notice when the ride starts, you're going into the bayou, and there's all the swamp houses and everything.
Yeah, we didn't have that in Disney World.
No, they just wanted you to get to the ride, hit the drops, and...
Yeah, you didn't get to have that experience. You didn't get to have the French Quarter experience in Disney World like you did in Disneyland. Disneyland was awesome when it comes.
Of course, we were supposed to go to the restaurant over there, but it was closed. Have you been to Disneyland or Disney World, Stephanie?
I've been to the one in Florida, whichever one that is.
That's
Disney World.
That one, I've been there.
So, the Magic Kingdom in Disney World.
Yes, and Animal Kingdom and all of that. Epcot, all of it.
We didn't go to Animal Kingdom, but we did go to Epcot and the Magic Kingdom. We were supposed to go to Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom this year, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, we got too busy schedules. We don't have a life anymore.
Yep.
It happens. I know that feeling.
Yep.
Instead, we went to Kentucky Down Under for a day.
Yeah, I got to go feed and
the same
pet
thing, right?
Yeah, I got to go pet and feed a kangaroo.
Sounds magical.
Yeah, what's better than going to Hollywood Studios and petting a kangaroo and feeding it?
Hey, you got to go in a cave.
Ooh. You sense my enthusiasm on that, right?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, it was nothing like Mammoth Caverns. I want to go to Mammoth Cave, and from what we were in, no.
I was there yesterday.
Really?
Yeah.
Lucky.
Yep, we were at Mammoth Cave yesterday.
I want to go in that one.
Back at the old TB hospital, actually.
Ah. I want to go in that one. Supposedly it's supposed to, you walk through it and it takes, 45 minutes or something?
Oh, it was 2.5, 3 hours.
Oh, I want to go.
I think so. There's several different tours. There's 45 minutes and there's
Damn.
different destinations.
I think they made their own tour.
Yeah.
See? They made their own tour. They said, we're not going to follow you guys. We're going off on our own. Bye. 2 hours later.
They have somebody in the back to follow you to make sure you don't do that, strangely enough.
But there's so many back caverns that people don't know about.
Right?
It's true.
Well, there was one where they covered up the hole that takes you down below to a bigger cavern, and they covered it up because people were actually trying to lean over the side and fall in it and splat.
Well, there are, I know on the one we were on yesterday, it had 2 quote-unquote bottomless pits on them, each over 100 feet down as we were looking, so...
Yikes!
You know.
Did you drop one of those little stick lights and see if you could see it fall?
Absolutely not. I don't drop anything over edges like that. Nope, not doing it.
Oh, I would. I want to see it go down and see if it disappears. 100 feet? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it would. Bottomless.
Well, most of them are lighted, so you can actually see most of the way down.
Ah. But if it's bottomless, what do they consider bottomless? There's got to be water down there.
Well, the ones that we could see the bottom of on there, they had no water at the bottom currently. That's not to say at other times they don't have water in them.
So it's just ground.
It is rock all the way down.
Now, are there caverns on the bottom for that area? Does it open up?
Mammoth Cave is several layers down. It depends on which tour you're on and what you're supposed to be seeing, which section you're going to. I think the River Styx tour actually takes you down to the very bottom of the cave where the water is still at, during the river in the bottom of the cave. The one we were on was a little bit higher up in the cave than that one was.
How many feet do you go down underground?
A lot. There was almost 600 stairs on the tour I was on, so 300 stairs down, 300 stairs up about. So do the math, how many flights that is. A lot.
She's over here covering her face going, oh, hell no. I know what she's thinking.
There are others that have less stairs.
Oh, I know what she's thinking. Is there an elevator?
Nope.
I think that's like going to the Capitol building.
They can just put you in a little seat and lower you down with the pulley.
I'll be feeling
that sounds horrible.
I'll be like Rocky trying to climb them steps the last time.
Oh my gosh. I'm just curious as to how far down. Is it 600, 700, 1,000 feet underground?
Well, there's several different layers of the cave, so I think it's hard to exactly quantify exactly where we were in that, because we were not near to the surface, but we weren't at the bottom either.
Man, that would be so cool. Only sad thing is you have to call ahead of time because they book up like nobody's business.
Actually, when we were there on Tuesday, there were still spots on the tour when we left, so the tour was not sold out.
Dang.
Yeah, it's during the week. Usually we have to do stuff on the weekend.
Yeah, we have to do stuff on the weekend.
Yeah.
We're up a creek. Dadgummit.
So, we're going to go into more on locations of course, we were talking about Mammoth Cave, and everybody should know, that, Mammoth Cave is haunted.
It is?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. There's several stories about Mammoth Cave.
What's it haunted by?
Well, like I said, parts of it was a TB hospital.
Inside the cave?
There was the TB hospital inside the cave, yeah. And then there was a saltpeter mine. There was at least one, if not several more cave explorers who died inside there.
Oh.
There have been the remains found of several Native American people found inside the cave, and some of those were prehistoric even. I mean, they were very, very old, so much so that they were actually reburied inside the cave. And he did end up being buried in the cave, and he was down there for quite some time. And for a while, you could actually go visit his casket inside the cave. Problem being is that the town it's in, Cave City, is a very, very small town.
Yeah.
And, of course, after they closed off, quote-unquote, the area he was in, the local kids would go down there and sneak in to see the body, go down to see the casket of the creepy guy in the cave.
Ew.
And, I know, right? And people started taking bits and pieces, as the story goes, of the bones.
Ew.
Oh, God.
And somebody may or may not have told somebody, oh, we snuck down there and we stole the whatever it was from Floyd Collins, and ended up telling one of his relatives that, not knowing it was a relative of theirs, and they threw a fit, as you should. They got the body parts back, and he was actually buried in a cemetery and is no longer inside the cave.
Wow. I got a femur! God.
Things happen.
Yuck. No, thank you. Oh, my.
Oh, he just looked up the caving system of Mammoth Cave.
I did.
I told you it's a lot.
Oh, my.
Did you not believe me?
I want to go to Echo River. That is the deepest. It's 360 feet below the surface.
You have fun with that.
The river Styx is the best part in my mind, for name alone.
Yeah, but you take the river Styx to Lake Lethe, and that takes you to Echo River, which is 360 feet below the surface. The deepest part of the cave.
Is this for walking, or is this with a boat?
I think it's a boat.
So you cannot go into the boated portions of the cave because there are endangered cave-dwelling fish and crawdads and other assorted things like that in there. So I know the boat tour is not an option to the public at this point.
Oh.
So they got creatures that eat the boat, huh?
No, it probably...
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Mm-hmm.
Yummy.
You got it.
Into some dinosaur world now.
So.
Oh, boy, we're going to have Lost World. But see, it looks like it goes even further, but they cut it off. I wonder where it goes.
Well, keep in mind, not all of it is entirely explored. And even if it is, it might not be on the maps online,
Oh. Tuberculosis Hospital is over there by Giant's Coffin.
Grant's Coffin.
That says Giant's.
Oh, Giant's Coffin, yeah.
What's the Giant's Coffin?
That's that explorer that we were talking about, wasn't it?
His name is Giant?
That was Floyd Collins.
Oh.
Who's Giant? What's the Giant Coffin?
I don't know. We did not talk about Giant's Coffin when I was in there.
No, because that's on the way to the Tuberculosis Hospital.
I'm sure we walked past it. There were several. I mean, Mammoth Cave is known as Mammoth Cave because of the size of the rooms inside it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the place is absolutely massive.
Well, it goes. Mammoth Cave covers like 2/3 of Kentucky.
Yeah.
As in tunnel systems.
It's ridiculously large. It is the largest explored cave system in the world. So, I mean, it's just a big, big place.
There's the bottomless pit. There's also a side saddle pit. Wooden bowl room. It looks like you get to walk around the tower. There's this one called the Tower.
It's possible.
Wow.
You got him fascinated. He's like a child with a candy store now.
I see that.
Mommy, can we go? Oh my. I love caves. It's just we don't. I haven't really been in one except for the one that she took me in, and I was just like, this sucks. I mean, ooh, thank you.
There are some really interesting ones around. I have been up to Squire Boone Cavern several times. That one is a very interesting. It's a privately held cave, so it doesn't have all of the rules and regulations about going through it. It's oftentimes a lot smaller groups. There is a person interred inside the cave, which helps it. It's Squire Boone. And then you also have the fact that it is a very, very wet cave. So a large portion of the tour, you are literally walking on grading right above the river that is inside the cave. Very active, very interesting location.
But a lot of walking underground.
Not really. That one's not a huge cave.
Wow. I found another map that takes the Echo River that goes to Cascade Hall. Must be a big broom. Man. I wonder how many people would actually ask if there's a bar down there.
The one in Lost River Cave, is that the one in Bowling Green that you actually ride a boat into?
Yeah,
that one actually did have a bar in it at one point.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that's the one that
Is that
we
the
were...
one we were trying to get in?
Yeah, and it was flooded. Yeah. We were going back. We were down there back in June, and it had rained for like a week, and it was completely flooded. They couldn't even get a boat into the...
Yeah, when that happens, you know.
I was like, oh, man. And we went ahead and went and looked just to see maybe if they weren't just lying to us. And sure enough, oh, my, there's the whole map. You could see the water was like all the way up, and there was like maybe 2 foot from the top of the cave. I'm like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
That would have been so neat.
That one is a really neat little cave.
Yeah. Well, she was going to freak out because, she's going to be in a boat in a cave and no idea how deep the water is. In there.
The water's not super deep there, but it's very, very cold. I think one of the interesting ones is the Bell Witch Cave down in Tennessee. That one is a teeny tiny little cave.
Yeah.
And it's right on the water, so I can't imagine being there when the water's high, because that would just be a lot of water.
Yeah. I was kind of shocked. It was flooded. And I was like, she was like, well, we're on our honeymoon?
No, our anniversary.
And we really wanted to go to this, but I guess we can't.
So we ended up going Kentucky Down Under instead.
Yeah.
He wanted to go a cave, so that was the cave case I had called, because I guess June is a very popular month for Mammoth Cave, and they had already sold out for everything that day. So I was like, well, we don't have... He goes, but I wanted to go to a cave. I said, well, figure it out. And then I found out, let's go to Kentucky Down Under. They have the Black Onyx Cave. And I took him into the...
I went to another one down there. It was, I think, Crystal Cave. It's actually inside, like, the building. The entrance is inside the building. It was a really neat little tiny cave.
I think I've heard about that one. You enter it from the building.
You enter it from the building, yes. Like, you're in the gift shop, you walk down, and you walk through a door into the cave.
Yeah. I've been to that one. But this one is actually on the outside of the gift shop. And they have like this big, it looks like a mound that goes up in the air, probably about 7 feet tall. And then when you walk inside it, it's just like a tunnel. And you take probably about 75 steps down, and next thing you know, you're inside the cave.
Okay.
And it just makes a big circle. Well, kind of. Half a circle, or a crescent. Kind of got a couple twists and turns. You have to really duck because... there's some stalagmites that are like hanging from the ceiling that kind of stops you from walking, but you got to go around it, and he tells you don't touch it, but yet what are you going to touch to get around it? You have no choice. But I had my hands in my pocket, hoping that I didn't slip because the steps are wet. No idea. I guess it rained in there. Or they had someone in there with a hose washing everything down.
No, it's got a couple of leak holes. It's got a couple of vent holes up at the top.
Oh. And then it has
live caves do.
Yeah, and then it had a stream in there. I asked the guy, I go, "Can you drink that water?" He goes, "Sure." I wouldn't. I'm like, it's a natural spring. It'll be good. It's going to have all the cave minerals.
And I said, yeah, it's a mineral, and you might as well go to the heat. And his exact words were, yeah, you can go ahead and drink it, but you better find a toilet really soon.
Right?
I mean, that's the problem that people don't think about when you're talking about all natural substances is, you know, there's going to be microbes.
I always wondered why they had a bathroom next to the mineral springs at the French Lick Hotel.
Yeah. I know when we were down in Arkansas, we went to Hot Springs, Arkansas, down there. Beautiful place, full of nice haunted locations. Mm-hmm. But you saw that there also. When you went to take the bath in the mineral springs, you would also find actual, like, toilets and things very, very nearby to them. So I wondered if there wasn't something in there that was some sort of diuretic.
Either that or you got people inside the spring drinking it and spitting it. You know, I don't know. That's just gross.
Who knows?
I wouldn't put it past people. I'm sure that people do a lot of strange things while they're inside a cave or mineral springs. Sure. And they even sold the mineral water at French Lick. They called it the Devil's Water.
Yeah. A lot of places did that as a cure-all. I mean, there were mineral springs and hot springs all over the U.S. For curing consumption and other diseases of that time and ilk.
Oh, it'll clean your system out, that's for sure.
You can make sure if you...
Who needs an enema?
I think say if you're constipated, go visit one of them.
You gotta try what you gotta try.
Oh, my God.
Talk about milk of magnesia.
Yeah, exactly. No. I don't even know how painful that would be. That's better than juicing. The last person that said he tried that, he said he found a quarter that he swallowed when he was 12.
Ew.
So what's next on your agenda of adventures?
Well, I'm not really entirely sure at the moment. You've always got projects on the backside, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But publicly speaking, I'm not entirely sure what will be next.
So no more conventions for this rest of the year?
No more conventions this year, nope.
Yeah, we're done with ours until next year.
Yeah, it's either feast or famine. You have like 4 a month or there's none, you know? There's no in between.
Ouch.
Yeah, ours was busy for September. Let's see. Well, do you have anything in August? What did we do this year?
I don't know. We've done so much. It's a blur.
Yeah. May, June. It was May, June, July, and September was our busy months this year.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It was a lot. And, of course, having our first time to speak at Scarefest, that was...
interesting.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Scarefest is a very interesting mix of people that are there. So you always end up with interesting audiences there, I think.
Well, the main problem was they put us as the first people to speak on Sunday, and they barely even got the doors open at the time when we were speaking, and a lot of people really don't want to climb up them stairs or take the escalator to the 3rd floor just to go to a seminar.
And the escalator was broken half the time.
Yeah.
And so was the elevator.
Yeah. That does happen. I know not this year, but last year, I did 2 lectures on, I did one on Friday and Saturday, and both of my lectures on those days were literally starting as the doors opened, and that did hurt attendance, but still the audiences I had were very, very engaged.
Yeah. Well, we had an engaging audience. I think we had more than Wes did.
Poor Wes.
Oh.
Wes was doing what was he doing? Not a round table. Oh, he was doing a panel. There was 3 people in there.
Yeah, what was it? I went to a convention one time, and I found out as I walked in that I was on a panel, and I was like, what am I doing?
Right?
Yeah. I don't like knowing last minute that I'm suddenly doing another. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a great way to throw you off your game.
Well, they kept on changing our times. See, we originally were speaking at 2:30 on Sunday. And they basically moved us around, and then they put us at 11:30, and then next thing you know, it got dropped to 10:30.
Yeah, it was 10:45.
10:45, and the doors open at 10.
Yeah, I mean, I've had that happen at conventions to me where your tour or your lecture time just changes, and you just kind of got to go with it. There's nothing you can do. They're changing it, you go.
Well, we were talking to Mike G from Tennessee Race Chasers, and he's like, yeah, we're going to be speaking at 2 o'clock. And all of a sudden you heard on the loudspeaker, come on up to the 3rd floor and listen to Ghost Brothers and the Tennessee Race Chasers as we have a panel today at noon. He's like, wait, no, it's supposed to be 2 o'clock. I'm like, guess what? It's noon.
It's in 5 minutes.
Exactly. Yep, you just got to go when they tell you you're going.
Yep. So they all had to run on up there, and I was like, oh, man. And, of course, the elevator was broken, so that was fun.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
There's always something to overcome.
Yeah. But if we do Scarefest again next year, I am putting a request in that we want to speak in the middle of the day. Definitely not starting in the morning. Because that's ridiculous.
Well, we're going to have an late October Scarefest next year. So
Yeah.
that's going to be kind of interesting. That's
Yeah.
going to be an interesting play out because they've got...
Fright Fest?
Well, no, not just that. Fright Fest is the weekend before Scarefest.
Ah.
But there is already a partial complaint already because of the late factor. Because that's Haunted Month.
Yeah,
and a lot of our Scarefest people are also part of haunted attractions.
Oh, yeah.
So it might, the attendance might be an issue next year.
Yeah, I doubt it. They're still going to roll people in because it really depends on who they're going to have as their headliner.
Yeah.
I mean, dang, Bruce Campbell, he brought them all. It was between Bruce Campbell
and Dee Snider.
Yeah, those 2 brought all the people in.
Oh, my God.
They did.
I mean, the lines were horrendous. I mean, they were wrapped around almost the building on Saturday afternoon. They were trailing all the way out and around and down the hallway, the main hallway.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, lines like that are nothing compared to what you're going to find at a Comic-Con, you know?
True.
So it's still more accessible than you would be at a Comic-Con to go see whoever that big star is you're looking to see.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get to the San Diego Comic-Con sometime soon.
It's always a goal, right? Always a goal. I'd like to go to Dragon Con. That's the event that I would like to speak at.
Yeah, I applied for Dragon Con, and they're like, well, we don't know who you are.
Yeah, it's notoriously hard to get into. I've got several friends who have done it, but it's a monster to get into.
Yeah, I heard Dragon Con's going through a few things right now.
Yeah. But
it might be, but it's still an excellent event.
Well, the thing is, if you got Scarefest under your belt, then you have a better chance of getting into Dragon Con.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, it's a big event. It's nothing like, one of those mom and pop Paracons and stuff that they don't know about. I mean, Scarefest is a name in itself, so you got a good possibility. So, if you get Scarefest and Dragon Con, then you might be able to get Comic-Con in San Diego. Maybe.
You'd have to get New York Comic-Con before you got San Diego Comic-Con.
Wait a minute. There's one in New York?
Absolutely.
Oh, hell, I didn't know that.
New York is only slightly smaller than the one in San Diego.
Really? Wow, I didn't know that.
I think that's the one that had Ghost Adventures on there last year.
What is that one called?
Entirely possible. New York Comic Con.
Yeah, I think
Go figure.
I think it's the one I found the live on where they had the Ghost Adventures crew
No,
there.
Ghost Adventures, I think, was in Michigan.
The one where they did they were all there except for Nick and, or not Nick, but or Zach and the guy that broke his foot.
Zach and Billy were in Las Vegas still.
Yeah.
So you had Aaron, Jay, and Dakota. They were at the thing. I didn't even know there was one in New York, so that's good to know. I'm going to have to check that out. So,
Yep. There's Comic Cons all over the country, but those are the two biggest ones in my mind.
I wonder when the one in New York is.
I think it's already passed. I think it was like in July.
Oh.
July or August, I think.
Oh. Okay.
I don't know.
Well, that'll be our goal. We're going to try to do the New York one next year. Haha.
Well, there you go.
Aim high! Right? No.
May as well.
I know. Go big or go home. Oh, man. All
Something.
right. Well, we got 5 minutes left of the show, and if you want to go ahead and tell our listeners how they can find you, where they can find you. And, of course, we already disclosed that you're not doing any more Paracons for the rest of the year. And what are you slapping your face for?
Nothing.
Okay. And I lost my train of thought. But, yeah, floor's yours.
So if they want to get a hold of me, easiest way is on Facebook. It's just my name, Stephanie Michelle Bingham. Or on Twitter or Instagram, my handle is Amarna Marie, so AMARNAMARIE. I try and get back to everybody that reaches out to me. I do it as quickly as possible. Sometimes that's quicker than others.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, follow along on there. And if you haven't watched Mysteries Decoded, go check that out on CW. It's still on the website. It's for free. No reason not to.
Do you have to have an account through the cable company to watch it, or anybody can watch
Nope.
it? Ooh.
Anybody can watch it.
Oh, well, I'm gonna. Well, I wonder, is it on Hulu?
No, it's on their actual app. So just go to CW.com, and you can click on Mysteries Decoded and watch pretty much the entire first season.
Ooh.
Although I think if we're lucky, there might be one more episode out there. We'll have to wait and see.
One more episode with you in?
No, just one more episode.
Ah. Which episode are you in? The first one?
Very first one, Lizzie Borden.
Okay. We're gonna check that out as soon as we get off the radio here. That'll be fun to watch.
It's on there. People are still watching it. It's getting really good reviews. So
cool.
You know.
Well, I mean, we have to watch it. We're going to be in Boston in 2 weeks, so yeah, we better watch it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So, well, as always, we had a great time with you, and we thank you for being on the show tonight.
Well, thank you for having me.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
great fun to be here.
Every time we do something new, you do something new, we'll bring you on. I mean, before you had your seminar talking about fairies and stuff like that, and we brought you on, and now you're in a new show, and then you did a seminar on Marie Laveau. So hey,
yep.
That's awesome. We'll see what the future holds, huh?
Absolutely.
Here's to an exciting rest of the year and next year. I'm sure we will all be busy.
Always.
I know we were. We don't even know what sleep is.
I don't think I remember what that is either.
All right, then. Well, you have yourself a great rest of the night, and we'll holler at you later.
Sounds good. You guys have a lovely evening.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, there you have it, folks. We are talking to Stephanie Bingham, and if you heard correctly, go to the CW and you can check out her new show. What's it called, Paula?
I had a moment.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, wow. Well, we're going to go ahead and look it up, and I will post a link for the show, because we're going to check it out after this, but you are listening to the Phantasmic Journey Podcast. Everyone, have yourself a good evening.
The Phantasmic Journey Podcast is brought to you by Tascam and Amazon Studios. For more than 30 years, Tascam has developed products for every segment of the sound and music industry. From the high-end audio professional in a major post-production studio to the novice of hobbyist at home, Tascam is everywhere. They are a company committed to providing their customers audio and video solutions that enable breakthroughs by using sound in ways that are exciting as they are accessible, even recording the voices of the dead. You asked for a non-scripted paranormal TV show. You begged for a non-staged paranormal TV show. You begged and you pleaded, and we have listened. We present to you Season 1 of The Paranormal Journey into the Unknown. It was released October 31st, 2017. In this series, we show you what it's like behind the scenes and conducting a real paranormal investigation. Join Gavin Kelly, Paula Purcell, and their special guests to seek out the existence of life after death by going to numerous haunted locations such as jails, hospitals, battlefields, and museums, collecting compelling evidence by means of video, photography, and EVPs. In this season, the crew investigates the St. Albans Sanatorium, Old South Pittsburgh Hospital, Jailhouse Pizza, and the famed Monroe House. And you can watch Season 1 of The Paranormal Journey into the Unknown on Amazon.com right now. Season 2 and 3 will be coming soon.
It's a horrible, nasty, heavy feeling where it's like something is on your chest. It's hard to breathe. It's not a welcoming feeling at all. You just don't feel welcome in that hallway at all.
There's been 3 or 4 natural deaths. The people that was poisoned, they showed their bodies in.
This place, I can't explain half the stuff that happens, and this is the only place that has ever done that.